Welcome to you, gentlemen. My name is Jeff Allen. If we have not met, I love it when you keep your cameras on. My motto is cameras on, clothes on. That's my motto. Barry knows that motto. Cameras on, clothes on. I love to see you guys. 10 seconds about me. I met Steve Horstman in 2015, and knock on fucking wood that he was close to me here in Fort Collins, Colorado, because I was a lot like you guys, right? I was a lot like you. My relationship was crashing and burning into the ground. I didn't know what to do. I was making all those nice guy mistakes. Even though I've been a teacher and in psychology for over a decade, I still didn't know how to navigate modern relationship and how to be a man in today's world and how to navigate relationship on hard mode, right? That's what we're facing today, relationship on hard mode. So good to see you, gentlemen. Little housekeeping. If you are here, you do consent to this being recorded. This will be shown within Steve Horstman's The Round Table. I believe Diffuse the Divorce Bomb as well. And, you know, other of Steve Horstman's Good Guys to Great Men stuff. I am an official paid affiliate with Steve Horstman and Good Guys to Great Men, along with some of the other coaches that you may know. I think there's some newer coaches I haven't met in person yet, but most of them I have met, including, of course, Tatesy and Mark Dresga. And Neil Greenspan out in Sweden before he got a phenomenal job and went that direction as well. And of course, Dennis Collins in Kansas City, and I'm in Colorado. Dennis Collins and I do things together. Sven Masterson and I do things together. I know Charlie. I know Matt, and lots of the other guys. I've met all the other guys out in Pennsylvania as well. So I've been in this field for a long time: psychology, education, emotional disabilities. I'm actually a trained special education teacher and an interventionist, an emotional and behavioral interventionist. And I still am licensed in that, but I've been in my own private practice for about 5 years now, going on 5 years. I started with families here locally. I still have two families that I work with, actually, a boy who's now 12 and another boy who's now 8. My licensure in the school system was 5 years old and up. And when the shit hit the fan for me back in 2015, I started to realize how passionate I was about this field for fathers, for men, for leadership in the community, leadership in your own life, and leadership in your family, right? And I wanted to try to, of course, keep my relationship together. And that's, like I said, how I found Steve Horstman. So if you're here with your cameras on and things, you are fine with this being shown within the private memberships area within Great Men Move Mountains, myself. And so, you know, your names aren't shown, but I love when you guys keep your cameras on, clothes on. Like I said, there's definitely going to be Q&A here. I have a bunch of shit that I'm going to get into, some of which I've never shown before. Guys that know me, I'm sure there's going to be guys that come in a little bit late too, but guys that know me, there's some of this material you haven't seen before. I host the C-Note show every single day, Monday through Friday, except for the last week of each month, in which case we either travel, we're traveling all around the country, all around the world, or I'm writing, or we're preparing a new digital product. And at that point, I have someone else host the show for me. But otherwise, it's been over a year now. I have over 400 videos on YouTube if you haven't seen my stuff out there. So lots of shit. And there's going to be brand new stuff today. I like to have a structure and then flow within that structure. I've got videos to share. I've got some Mark Manson. I've got John Wineland, Simon Sinek. I've got a clip from Californication I'm going to use as an example. I've got a bunch of awesome stuff. So we're going to get into it. Our theme of today is how to make her fall in love with you again every single day, how to satisfy her hypergamous instinct, how to act and feel and be a high value man, right? How to think and act like a high value man, and how to naturally attract amazing women easily, including that amazing woman in your life, right? You maybe amazing is a different adjective than you would use right at this moment. Maybe she said she wants space, she loves you, but not in love with you. You know, sex has been non-existent for the past year, 2 years, 25 years. Oof, man, I've had everything from infidelity and coming back to having an amazing relationship with, family of 3 kids, to moving on to having fantastic sex and intimacy with new women, and how to do that, how to be that man that you want to be, and how to be on fire in your chest, and how to know what to say, what to do, how to be, as Steve Horstman would say, an HDM man, right? HDM man, even if you're still married. So we're going to get into how to do that. The cool thing about this work is that whether you're with her or you move on to another woman or the next women in your life, the work is the same, because the work is about you. It's about saving you from the blind spots you didn't know you had. And I'm speaking about myself. I've made every mistake under the sun, just like most men that I talk with. So I've made every mistake here as well. We're going to get into that. So I love, I play with iMovie. I've been doing production and things for years at this point. Like I said, lots of videos on YouTube. So I'm going to play a quick intro that I show on the C Note show every Monday through Friday, get a little bit more of a feel of me. Then we're going to jump into some comedy. Number one, because comedy brings you into the present moment. So I've got some Aussie Man reviews, a different robbery fails video, because it's like, man, I'm happy I'm not this guy. And let's laugh a little bit for a couple of minutes together. And then we're going to get into the content today. And I'm going to have plenty of time for Q&A for you guys. So I move fast. I talk kind of fast. I want you to write down questions that you have or post questions in the chat. And if you do me a favor and put like a Q or the word question before your question in the chat, that'd be awesome. If you want to raise your hand, I think it's in the participants section. It may be a little different now with Zoom, but if you can raise your hand in Zoom, please don't just unmute yourself, randomly. If I ask you to unmute yourself, cool. I haven't figured out how to control the muting just yet. So if you guys a bunch unmute yourself, I'll have to figure that out and we'll waste some time. But post questions in the chat. I'm definitely going to get into Q&A. So let's get started and we'll jump into it. Here we go, gentlemen.
The following program is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
Get more affection, love, and sex in your marriage. Get less paralyzing fear and rejection. The C Note Show. Free daily call.
This I've got to see. It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
Yes. Welcome to the C Note Show. I'm pumped now. Jason got me going. That's behind the paywall. Okay. That ain't free, motherfuckers. It says, fuck you in capitals. You get bit. You don't get bit. That's okay. It's like a snake. You can't blame it. A snake bites, right? You want to be Andy Malloy with the rockin' style. Yeah, bitch. See, when I get out to Spain, Andy and Ian are going to be like, okay. All right. We've been saving this, but follow me. Oh, yeah, gentlemen. Cameras on, clothes on. Don, Larry, Carl, good to see you. Andrew's here. Barry. Yeah, Tony. Sohail, man, good to see you. Sohail's fucking kicking my ass with the beard. I love it, dude. I love it. Alan's like, well, I've had this beard since I was 14. Welcome, Jeff. Welcome. Yeah, Chris, iPad. Alex is here. Mike, Josh, Chris. Ron's here. Harry. Looks like another Ronald baby. Yeah, and Michael's iPad. We got two iPads here. Got two iPads. Bring in the iPads. I don't see any phone numbers just yet, but I always love saying 867-5309 for the phone numbers that come in. So I'll just say that joke, even though there's no one here with a phone. So let's watch about 2.5 minutes of some comedy. Like I said, comedy brings us into the present moment. It's hard to be laughing and pissed off at the same time. It's hard to have humor in your life and resentment in your life at exactly the same time. So everything I do practices what I preach. Everything that I do helps you practice being that man, that grounded, high value, deep man that you want to be, that women are attracted to, right? It's when we slip into that hummingbird shit, like Steve Horseman would say, or we slip into resentment or anger or lose control of our emotions, which I'm going to talk about. That's one of the forms of confidence that I teach. We're going to get into that, but let's go ahead and watch some Aussie Man for a couple minutes. Here we go. I'm just happy I'm not one of these guys.
Welcome to Robbery Fails. Thieving Bastard 1 is in the house. He's gunning for the 4K telly, but it's mounted on tight. It's a professional installation. Even with a spinny spin, it's not coming off. Thieving Bastard 2 charges right into the door. That wasn't the plan. Thieving Bastard 3 prepares the boot for loot. TB2 is running away. He's bailed. TB3 goes in to help and gets glass in his ass. That is the strongest television ever. They can't steal it, so they pretty much break it. TB3 headbutts his car. Yeah, nah, more glass in the ass. Who knew Home Alone was a documentary? Here we have Groovy Pants Gus checking the store to make sure it's empty. It is. He vanishes off screen and comes back with a mask. I guess we can't say for sure it's the same guy. Oh, he sets off the alarm. Gravity fucks him. He manages to get back up and runs away top speed. Meanwhile, at the vape shop, this dickhead pulls a gun, fumbles it, tries to jump the counter. His pants are like, yeah, nah. He fly kicks the door and sprints to wherever. Failed robbers meet up. Probably jail. Here's old mate Wraparound Sonny's beanie combo robber. He's tried to bring a knife to a chair fight. Know your enemy, mate. Terrible research. This young shit cunt with luscious eyebrows wants to steal a lady's bag. Or does he? He definitely does. But the bus driver uses the door as handcuffs. Oopsie daisies. Look, when the pub closes, you go home. You don't keep trying to break inside with a keg, okay? Bang, bang. Oh, yeah, I could probably fit through there, I reckon. I don't need to put me ciggy out. I can multitask. Ow, ow, ow. Why did I wear shorts? Fuck me. Oh, there it is. The door was unlocked the entire time. Over to Poland, this thief is a beefcake. I'm worried for the staff member inside. Here he comes, he draws a gun, demands to be given the $20 in the register. Unfortunately, the beefcake brought a gun to a mop fight. Nonna is a highly trained martial mop artist and chases him out of there. That's fucking incredible. Talk about a particular set of skills. I'm in the mood for more mop self-defense videos now. It's a handy bloody weapon to keep dickheads at bay. I reckon I'll start sleeping with a mop under me pillow. This one's a bit different. The robber wanker sprays himself in the face with pepper spray, then in comes the mop tactic at the end to clean up. Anyway, enough about mops. Construction equipment! This is next level thievery. It might be the closest thing to real life Grand Theft Auto I've ever seen. They literally rip the fucking ATM out of the wall. How are they gonna get away with it though? Oh yeah, chuck it in the custom made getaway van. This would have taken so long to plan and implement. They could have used their time and inventiveness to just get a job. It's weird how some people enjoy having criminal charges.
Oh my God. Oh, I just love it. I just love feeling better watching shit like that. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe that's shallow. Call me shallow. But I like watching fun stuff like that. All right, gentlemen. I'm Mr. Jeff Allen. Good to meet you if I haven't seen you before. Cameras on, clothes on. This is going to be shown within Steve Horstman's Good Guys to Great Men and Great Men Move Mountains. And it helps connect with other men when you keep your cameras on. And it's fun. And I can see your faces. When you ask questions, I can see the inflection in your body and in your, in the tone of your voice, obviously. But cameras on, I can see your face and everything that's going on. So when you ask questions, that's super helpful. All right, let me go and jump into some content, right, guys? So you're here because I promised you how to make her fall in love with you again every single day, satisfying her hypergamous instinct, how to think and act like a high-value man, and naturally attract amazing women easily. So I'm going to put this question on the table. I'm going to challenge you guys. So you can punch these into the chat anytime. You can ask me, any question that you like, certainly. But I'm going to challenge you with my what I call the staircase of courage question. So the staircase of courage is stepping into courage one step at a time every single day. And I'm going to ask you right now to punch into the chat. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of in life right now? What are you afraid of in relationship right now? Like, we're here to talk about long-term relationship and marriage and wanting her to fall back in love with us, or intimacy, or why she's being so distant, or why she's so confusing, or she says this one day and I don't know what the hell's going on, and what do I do? Right? Depends on how on fire your hair is. But what are you afraid of? Punch that into the chat. What are you afraid of? I want you guys to be open with me, right? Let's see. What's one thing I'm afraid of? One thing I'm afraid of is maybe I talk too fast, right? Because I go through a lot of content. One thing I'm afraid of is maybe you guys don't know who the fuck I am, right? Like, who's this guy? Who the hell's this guy? I just thought of those right now. So I'm being vulnerable with you. I'd like you to be vulnerable with me. So what are you afraid of? Either in your relationship. How about this one? Here's a good one. I'm afraid of getting married again. Okay, I'm engaged. We're planning on getting married next September of 2022. And I waited quite a long time while engaged before I wanted to set a date. And I don't even technically have a date yet. I have a month. Right, so I'm afraid to get married again. Even though it's going great, and I've been using every single one of these tools since day one, being with my current fiance, who you guys know is Cynthia Cruz, who hosts the C-Note show with me. She's been in this field for a long time, but I mean, shit, right? I've been through divorce, so I'm afraid to get married again. I want that. I'm a long-term relationship guy. I teach these skills. I know what I'm doing, and that's a fear of mine. It's a fear of mine, right? So that was me being vulnerable with you guys. So let's jump in. I just want to read a few excerpts to kind of get us in the groove here. A few guys that appreciate this work, and this is over the past, like I said, 4 or 5 years I've been doing this work. And then a few very normal questions, very normal scenarios that guys ask So I want you to know that you're not alone, and I want you to know where you're going, where you're headed. So here's a couple of positives, right? I've experienced, these are posts from the forum. These are posts from emails that I've gotten. Honestly, very recently, I think the last 2 weeks, I pulled all these from. I've experienced some of the most significant growth in a few years being a part of this group, reading your stories, contributing what I can, watching you struggle. Yeah, buddy, watching you struggle, and then experiencing those aha moments. It's all been inspiring, the struggles and triumphs, all of it. Here's another one. We get too caught up in the physical intimacy to realize there is something much deeper, which once reached includes all of intimacy. It's absolutely crazy I'm saying this. The space our very real divorce is providing us is where my wife is finally seeing me as the man I am now. We're finally connecting. I have no clue what tomorrow brings because I'm too busy living in the present. I just wanted to drop a line and let you all know I think about you all every day, and I'm cheering and rooting for all of you. That's an amazing man in our forum. Another one, I'm grateful for the lessons and the knowledge brought to me by the C-Note show. Oh, look at that, self-aggrandizing. I don't realize the frantic speed that I was moving in my mind and how it translates to my speech and body movements. Yes, with the meditation that I've been practicing lately, I started to be slower. I actually have a model that I can work with moving forward. The reality is that this will help me bring out my confident, calm, patience, fun, and playfulness into my relationship. That will work on the polarity in an organic manner. This makes me euphoric, happy, and hopeful for the future. All right, here's a few common questions, common scenarios where, like I say, I felt like I was in free fall. I felt like I was in purgatory. There was infidelity on my ex-wife's part. And, I made all the mistakes. I'll jump back here for a second. I made all the mistakes of like begging and it's all my fault and blah, blah, blah. And I was fucking crying in the bathroom at work. I'm working with kids with emotional disabilities and learning disabilities, gang kids that fought and attacked teachers, bipolar, schizophrenic kids, like all the most difficult children in the school. They'd call me in. That's who I worked with. And still, my relationship, she's like, I don't love you. And she's going out till 3 a.m. and all this shit. And I'm like, crying in the bathroom at work and stuff. And that was fucking tough, man. That was fucking tough. So that's what some of these guys are going through right now. And maybe you're going through something like that. This man says, my wife told me last night she doesn't know if she's going to get Bruce or the Hulk. Obviously, I don't have any correct direction for my anger yet. My anger makes me feel powerful and like I can kill the elk and bring back backstraps, protect my family, and stand up for myself. And then he went on to say, he wants to be in control of his emotions, which is one thing that I teach, and we'll get into that. Another one, I now have new questions regarding the moment to step away and give space versus leaning into issues and holding the tension. Okay, holding tension. Holding tension is like the number one difficulty we have as men. That's the huge mistake that I made. That's one of the number one things that men need to learn and that I teach, and it takes practice, but huge, huge, huge. Holding tension when things aren't going well. I have admittedly made some nice guy mistakes once again, and this has created a loss of confidence. However, there comes a point when I have to forgive myself and move on. And one more. I mentioned the separation conversation is coming. I'm pretty sure it's happening today or tomorrow. Any advice on how to handle this conversation? I'm still struggling to accept that we have to do this and the impact it will have on my kids. So has anyone been able to navigate this conversation? Trying to leave my emotions out of it, but there's definitely fear when it comes to breaking up their home. Sure, it will be better for me and for her since she's not willing to work towards reconciliation, but it will be difficult for them. Her idea that it won't have much of it or won't hurt them does frustrate me, trying to not let that emotion run rampant in the conversation. Right. So again, these skills are about how we deal with where we are and how we move forward, how we become that on fire man, confident man, that mojo filled, grounded man every single day, which is the prerequisite for attracting any woman, much less our wife, any woman. Right. And what to do when these relationship conversations come up are nuanced. So if you guys have particular situations you want to ask about during sort of open Q&A, I'll try to leave as much time as I can. All right, so I'm going to do this a little bit differently today. I'm going to do a little bit of drawing today. Not really artistic drawing. I suck at drawing, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. I wanted to bring some different stuff to you today, so I'm going to jump in. There's only 3 things that we can control: our attention, our affection, and our commitment in relationship. That's a huge piece. I'm going to go very fast because I don't know where all of you are with your learning, and I want you to hear some new shit today. Okay, the 3 forms of confidence. I pulled this particular framework from the book Confidence, which Steve Horstman does assign by Barbara DeAngelis. But if I just save you reading the book, there's 3 forms of confidence: emotional, behavioral, and what she calls spiritual. I call the 3rd form of confidence philosophical confidence. So behavioral is the what to do, the skills. The emotional confidence is I have anger, or I have resentment, or I get so anxious, I become the hummingbird man. How do I have emotional groundedness and confidence? And then what I like to now call philosophical confidence. What do I believe is the purpose of relationship? What do I believe is the purpose of my life in this moment, today, this week, this month, this year, this decade, right? And so I call that turning your shoulders, your philosophical confidence. You're turning your shoulders into the world. What makes you on fire in the world? And then you can turn your shoulders toward her. And what do you believe about relationship? Okay, and I'm going to get into that. If you don't know philosophically what you believe about relationship and what you believe about yourself and the world, you're not going to be able to lead your woman. Okay, if you don't know if you don't know how to answer that or talk about that in a way that's on fire, like you turn your face and you're talking about what you want in the world, and you turn to her and you are the protector and the champion for the 3rd entity, the relationship. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's not good. Okay. You need to know how to do these things. I didn't know how to talk about that at all up till, started 6 years ago. All right. And I'm bringing you all of my skills here in a really quick fashion. And we're going to talk about this. Okay. So next page here, I made a bunch of notes. This is what I want to get into here. What's the mindset of a high value man who is phenomenal in relationship? Okay, whether you're dating or whether she hates you right now, the scope is there's you, there's her, and there's the relationship. Okay, I don't like to say this as there's you, there's her, and then the we space. The Venn diagram of the we space. I don't like calling it a we space. It's almost, that feels like almost codependent to me. Sort of like leaning way too much into the relationship, and if she pulls the chair away, you fall on your face. She doesn't want to feel like you're leaning too much into the relationship. It makes her feel uneasy. It makes her feel like you're kind of the feminine in the relationship. She doesn't know why she feels this way. It's just what it does is it pushes her more and more into the masculine. The more that we're codependent and we lean into the we, and then we get, I made the mistake of, well, this is for our marriage. We're married. What, all that weepy kind of shit. And that's not attractive. And it definitely doesn't help. Right. So there's you, there's her, and there's the relationship. And you can be a champion. You must be the leader and champion for the relationship. Right. That doesn't mean you control her. That doesn't mean you're, an asshole about it, but you're a champion for that 3rd entity, even if she doesn't like it in the moment, even if you don't necessarily like it in the moment. Right. Maybe she's had trauma in the past that's been triggered again from a baby or from, sex with you or a certain age in life. Maybe she's hitting like 32, 35, 45, whatever that may be. And that age all of a sudden kind of triggers something for her. And you may not like what you need to say and do. You may not like standing up for yourself, standing up for the boundary of the relationship. It might feel uncomfortable. Okay. That's part of tension. But you must be a champion for the relationship in a grounded way. Otherwise, why should she follow you? She's not going to be inspired in the relationship if you don't know how to do that, right? And at the same time, doing that for yourself in the world. There's paradoxical forces that we face as humans. I really think part of my philosophy is that we have to learn how to balance or juggle or deal with or integrate paradoxical forces and as humans. And here's a really simple one. We want adventure and excitement, and we want safety and routine. Okay. Adventure and excitement is the opposite. It's paradoxical from safety and routine. Well, how can you have both of those things at the same time? Well, you can structure your life that way. You can believe that that's possible. You don't do the exact same thing at the same time as far as the physical act, but emotionally you can understand that. Philosophically, you can believe that, and you can walk that forward in your life and in your relationship. Okay. So again, you guys are writing down questions. Yeah. So here's some, I want to draw you a few things. Here's a different way for me to say the behavioral skills, emotional skills, and spiritual skills. It's the skill of holding tension is the biggest skill that men generally fail at. Okay. And then the frame, the emotional frame that you are the protagonist of this story of your life. If you frame yourself as she's the protagonist of the story, it's very easy for her to put you as the bad guy, right? Like I say, she hands you the pirate costume. You're the bad guy in the Shakespearean play of your lives. And here's the patch, and here's the peg leg, and here's the parrot, and here's the frilly shirt, and put it on, man. Like, this is you. And that's what I experienced. She's like shoves you the pirate costume. And we don't know how to stand up for ourselves, and we don't have a frame for relationships. So we put the patch on, and now we're the bad guy in her story. Well, we have to be the protagonist of our own life. That's a huge piece. And if you don't know how to do that, like, that's what we teach as well. It's we're here to answer as well. And then the philosophy of turning your shoulders for yourself and turning your shoulders toward the relationship. Okay. So there's definitely, when you're turning your shoulders toward your career, toward your passion, toward fire, going to the gym, being with your boys, you're not considering her. Like, you're literally not considering her. That's you. That's the you part of the you, her, and the relationship. You're literally not in that moment considering her. We are single focused as men. Don't bullshit her that you are, because you're not, right? Like, and you don't want to be. You want to be focused on your own fire so she can look up to you. And then when you're focused on the relationship, you're present, and she's the most interesting, curious thing in that moment to you. And you're focused on the relationship at that moment. And you're bringing fire through your philosophy and beliefs of what is relationship and your leadership in relationship. Okay. So don't try to have like one foot in both camps. You're going to be a lame personal man, and she's not going to feel inspired by you. And if you have one foot out of the relationship and you're not present, then she's going to feel like she's going to get pissed off because you're not there for her. She doesn't feel you. She doesn't feel like you're, that you give a shit. That's when she says, you don't care about me. It's when you have one foot out at all times, right? Like, think about famous men, high-powered men. They're not like worried about their relationship when they're kicking ass in the world. Okay. Or a celebrity isn't worried about appeasing everybody, but a Don Juan, a man who's very good in relationship, is present, is in the relationship. And he's not worried about money or stress or other shit when he's with his woman. Right. So you really need to delineate that for your own self. And it takes nuance. I mean, there's art here. All right, let's take a look at, I want to draw these things out. So here's some stuff that I wanted to bring you a little bit more brand new today. Okay. So I love 2x2 matrices. If you guys are in anything around consulting or anything like that, which I'm not, but I just find it kind of funny, the 2x2 matrices. So there's one, this is from a book called Mode 1 by Alan Roger Curry. It's a really good book. It's definitely fringe. Your wife's going to be pissed if she reads it, which is okay, because a big piece of what he describes is the 2x2 matrices of what she wants, okay, and what she expects. So I'm going to draw this here. So one dimension is what she wants. So she wants more things on this end, and she doesn't want things on this end, right? And the other axis is what she expects. This is my beautiful art here for you guys. You can see how it flows. What she expects. Okay. What she expects, right? So down here is what she doesn't expect, and up here is what she does expect. So think about if there's something that she wants but doesn't expect, like you to own your sexuality, like for you to own your desire, right? Like knowing how to turn her on even when she's not necessarily aware of it, knowing how to breathe deep with her, and maybe something that she wants but doesn't necessarily expect. Okay. Or something that she expects but doesn't want is, the hummingbird shit. Like, oh, is he going to ask me questions again today? Like, God, that's boring. And it's so just like this kind of thing. If you're pandering into, she's already expecting this and she doesn't want it, definitely a bad thing. Definitely a bad thing. So I want you to think about this dimension of wants and expects. And I'm going to go through this really fast because I want to have enough time for questions and honor your guys' chat of what you're afraid of. The next one is honest. How honest are you? Remember, nice guys are not honest, those covert contracts. So how honest are you and how confident are you? Because you can be honest and not confident, like, I'd really love to touch your breast now. Can we have sex now? Like, you can be honest and not confident. Or you can be confident and not honest, like promising something to a woman that you don't really believe in, right? Honest and confident. So you guys are taking notes, right? How honest am I being and how confident am I being in that honesty? Mark Manson's first book, Models. It's a really great book. It's mostly about dating, but the idea is that you're being vulnerable and honest at the same time, right? So for instance, you don't even need to say words. Like, here's a great one. I even used this literally this morning, right? You can walk up to your woman to a level of proximity that she's just a little bit uncomfortable with, or creates a little bit of tension. You don't want to smother her. You don't want to be on top of her. Okay. But maybe your wife right now doesn't want much to do with you. So even being in the same room might be a close proximity for her. And when you're there, you stand your ground and you feel high regard in your body, and you put a little smirk on your face and you observe her. So you're becoming the masculine observer in that moment, the stillness, the structure, and you're appreciating her beauty for 3 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay. Or you can walk up and stand next to her and have a little smirk on your face and breathe into your belly, right? Breathe into your belly, feel your feet on the ground, and stand there and think about, what I did this morning is I thought about her breasts. My relationship's in a different place maybe, right? So I stood next to her, I smiled, I looked her in the eyes, and I thought, damn, I want to, have fun with her breasts. And I didn't say that. I wasn't gross about it, but I was sharing my sexuality in a vulnerable, honest way without saying anything. Okay. Standing next to her, having presence, breathing deep, right? Not worried about what she's going to think about me. Okay. And thinking about her in an honest, intimate way, and not neutering your sexuality. Okay. We talk about that a lot, especially this week on the C-Note Show. And if you guys, I didn't put this link into the chat before. So if you want to get recordings of the C-Note Show, I have a YouTube channel, but it takes some time for me to get those there. And I have to edit those because I can't show videos and, all the censorship issues on YouTube. So you can go to greatmenmovemountains.com/VIP, greatmenmovemountains.com/VIP. And I have all the recordings. They're more unedited there. They still have the videos and things. So yeah, it's free. Go there, check out my stuff. Right, you're writing down questions, right? There's no way that I can try to go deep in all these. So I'm skimming across a bunch of new shit. All right. And this last one is, you hear this as masculine and feminine, but the way I want to structure it today, what I want to say it today, is the masculine is about structure, okay? Structure and groundedness, right? Structure on one axis. And instead of saying feminine, I'm going to say flow on the other axis, right? So structure on one axis. Do you not have masculine structure? Are you a weepy dude? Are you like, what do you want to do? I don't know, sweetie. What do you like that? Okay. And do you have a lot of structure? And how in flow are you within your life? Are you super rigid? Do you like literally stand like a statue because you think that that's what masculinity means? I made that mistake at one point when I was learning this, like, oh, masculine means I never have emotion. I'm a robot. I stand totally still. No, that's not human. Like, she might find that interesting for a little while because if you like your pendulum swung over to, I'm not hummingbird anymore. I want to be an HDM man. So it's like, bro, like, whoa, what is this? She might feel it's different, but if you don't have some human emotion or human flow within you, okay, then it's going to feel fake. It's going to feel dead to her. She won't feel connected to you. So the goal here is we want to have a high amount of structure, and we want to have a high amount of emotional flow as well. I mean, I'm literally modeling this, right? You see me drawing it here. I'm not reading a script, but I have a structure. I have an outline. I have a topic for today. I have videos queued up. So we want to have a high amount of structure and flow, and those take skill. They take behavioral skill, emotional confidence, emotional control, and the philosophy around why to do this in the first place. Why do I want to have masculine and feminine polarity? Why do I want to lead my woman in relationship? Why do I want to plan the date and plan at least 2 different locations to go to? Okay, that's the philosophy around life for you and the philosophy around relationship. And again, I call that turning my shoulders. Philosophy on life for you, and philosophy on leading the relationship as the champion for the relationship, the protector for the relationship. And on that note, I'm going to share 2 minutes from John Wineland about this exact thing around that we need to have both structure and emotional flow in our life. Okay, both of those things are what modern women want. If we don't have that advanced level of understanding and skill now, like, she's not going to feel fulfilled. And it's harder than it was 70 years ago or 200 years ago, right? But welcome to 2021. Welcome to our modern relationship. Here we go.
Preferences aren't being met, right? Then I'm either going to withdraw or I'm going to fight. I'm going to go into fight or flight in some form or fashion. And there's really just like kind of bringing some flow, and, you know, it's good. Now, too much flow and you get, you know, conscious flow boy, you know, which is not very deep as either, right? But finding that beautiful balance. So I think if you're nervous, the body doesn't lie. And if you smiled the moment you were like, oh, here's what freedom feels like. Freedom feels like this. Ah, maybe there's a sound. Oh, if that's what freedom felt like in your body, perfect. Ultimately, the deepest presence, the most felt presence, hopefully you guys can figure this today, is a blend. It's yin and yang. It's masculine and feminine, right? So the reason why we practice so much in this holding the structure and being the emptiness, because nobody taught us that. And that's the place to start with men's work. But that is fucking dry and not very inspiring. So if you sit in front of your woman and you just hold space and feel emptiness, like, that, she'll dig it for a while, and then she'll be, and like, where are you? Like, I want to feel you. I want to experience you. And so ultimately what we're going for here, and I hope you guys could get a sense of this today, is both. Is, you know, remember this, that this is about like being alive and open and having presence and ground and a sense of depth at the same time. At the same time. Most humans tend to either flop in between the two, but being able to integrate, like the integrated masculine flows perfectly and combines perfectly moment to moment, right?
Yeah, I love you guys being here. I'm going to honor if you guys, cameras on. I love it. Cameras on, clothes on. Carl, Barry, Jerry, Larry, Michael, good to see you. Michael's iPad's here. Yeah, buddy. So, Hale, good to see you again, of course. You guys came in. I love it. Some of you guys are going to, yeah, so there's questions in the forum. You posted questions. You posted the staircase of courage answer. I love that, of what you're afraid of. What are you afraid of in life or relationship right now? I love that. So I'm going to frame real quickly again, and then I'm going to go into Mark Manson. So the three big 2x2 matrices I'm showing you guys today, which I've never drawn it this way before, even with all of my hundreds of videos and doing this stuff every single day. I want to bring you new stuff, right? So the masculine and the feminine is about structure and flow. And we need to know how to do both of those things, right? That's what the high value man does. That's how you attract a woman easily, through honesty and confidence. Okay, if you're confident and unhonest, then that's going to erode. That's the bottom's going to fall out in the future at some point. So confidence is meaning simply of, I'm not going to be blown over by however the reaction is. Like, what she says isn't going to kill me. What's going to happen in the world, I can handle it. I may still feel anxious about it. I may still feel, you know, butterflies in my stomach and tight in my chest, and kind of my vision goes blurry, if you will, right? That's okay though. You're still leaning into confidence and honesty. And you don't want to always do what she expects. You sometimes want to do what she doesn't expect, but she does want. And this boils down to owning your sexuality, owning also in a calibrated way where you are in the relationship. If she already expects everything you're going to do and you're doing the hummingbird stuff, which she doesn't want, I mean, that's the opposite direction of where most of us go, right? That's the nice guy stuff. So I'm going to jump a little bit more into philosophy around self, because a huge piece of the emotional control is our ego gets defensive, and then we go down this downward spiral. We try to make her wrong. We have beliefs that are underlying that we're not aware of. And so a piece of what Mark Manson is going to talk about here is emotional control is driven by our ego, is driven by being butthurt, those unconscious beliefs that we flush out in this work. Let's go ahead and jump over to Mark Manson for about 3 minutes. Here we go.
Fun of them. All right. Level 4, explaining the concept of self to a graduate student. So the concept of self, it's actually just an arbitrary definition like anything else. You know, it's like I kind of have my definition of what friendship is. You maybe have a definition of what friendship is. Somebody else has a different definition of what friendship is. We all develop these definitions of these principles based on our experiences, our environment, the culture we grow up in, and things that we're exposed to. There's no correct definition of friendship. We all have slightly different definitions based on what we've been through in life. The same is true for the definition of self. There's no correct definition of ourselves. We all just kind of make it up as we go along. And so this fluidity of self is actually just another psychological mechanism to keep us stable in the world and stable in our environment. The brain probably needed to invent a concept of self or invent an ego because an ego helps us function as a social species. It helps us determine, are we treating each other fairly? Is somebody taking advantage of me? Am I being threatened by a group somehow? If we didn't have an ego, or if we didn't have a sense of self, it would be almost impossible to determine these things. And so in that sense, the ego is just an evolutionary adaptation of our minds. It's something that we just invented at some point and isn't even really real. Level 5, expert. There is no self. You do not exist. And the belief that you exist is just an illusion that is spun up by your mind and that is almost impossible to stop for any long period of time. Nothing particularly exists. It is all merely an unceasing interflow of information change happening at a subatomic, atomic, and biological level. Trillions of bits get processed and spun into patterns that generate this illusion that the self exists, that anything exists at all. You can train yourself to see this, to feel this, to inhabit this. You can train your mind to see through its processes, to start experiencing reality, not as the self or the ego, but as yet another manifestation in this infinite sea of existence. All that you love or care about is merely a temporary cessation of this imagined separateness between things. Life is transitory and ill-defined. There is no such thing as death. Nothing lasts, yet nothing is lost. That is because all is present and has always been. You are this, and this, and this. Be sure to like and subscribe, fuckface. What's up, YouTube land? Mark Manson here.
Oh, gotta love Mark Manson. So that's called The 5 Levels of Understanding Yourself. It came out within the last week. So search Mark Manson, The 5 Levels of Understanding Yourself, if you want to find that video. It's real great. So actually, while that was playing, I decided to draw something a little bit that I hadn't decided to do, but I'm just going to add this in right now. Okay. So there are, within our unconscious, we have instincts, base level instincts, right? Primal brain, limbic brain. We have instincts, and we have unconscious beliefs that drive our actions and drive our emotional states. That another way to say this is karma that's been passed on to us, family karma or family beliefs or cultural beliefs that have been passed on to us that we run on, and they're unconscious. Now we can change those beliefs because really they were thoughts, they're cultural thoughts or familial or religious thoughts that were handed down prior to us being born, basically, and we were taught them as a child. So we didn't know that they were just actually thoughts. Okay, so that's what those are. But this is unconscious. This is what's running us, instincts and beliefs. And then what's within our conscious awareness is, first of all, it's sensations. Okay. sensations that happen in our body, right? Like I'm uneasy about something, or I have a bad feeling about that person. Okay, those are sensations. That's not an emotion yet. That's just a literal feeling in the body. And like me, I had to get control of my anger in the past. And then sensation that would happen before I would get pissed off, before I would verbally vomit, or, like what's real, and kind of attack my, spouse, kind of a thing, basically, or judge her, blah, shoot all the negative shit out before I knew any better, like a long time ago at this point, right? The sensation I had was energy rushing up the back of my neck and up into my head, and like making my eyesight tight, like I'm gonna, kill the deer. Like, okay, it's time to kill the deer. And I would lock on to my target, my spouse in the past, and bad news after that. And I had to gear it back to, well, what does it feel like right before I'm going to do that action I don't want to do? Right before I'm going to dump my anxiety on her? Right before I'm going to ask her in a whiny way for sex? Right before I'm going to complain again to her? You'll have the same sensation in your body. So it's sensation first, then emotion, okay, and then a thought, right? And now underneath unconscious is the thoughts of your beliefs. So as you go forward, and what I teach and what you learn through books and being around, in the round table and Steve Horseman's videos and my videos and our groups and my one-on-one coaching and such, and meetups all around the world. I've met guys literally all around the world and all around the country. I think probably 20 different meetups and events at this point, at least. I'd have to think about it. I've done 7 with Steve Horseman shoulder to shoulder, 6 of them in a professional way, right? So these beliefs you can change, but they're really thoughts. So this is a loop. Let me use a different color. Okay, we can change our thoughts and create our thoughts into beliefs, and that takes practice to where this becomes more autopilot. It's like riding a bike or learning how to swim. Okay, we have to practice until it becomes more automatic and ingrained and becomes unconscious. And new thoughts can become new beliefs that then drive different sensations. Like I don't get angry even 1% of what I used to do in the past, especially over relationship stuff, because my beliefs are different. And then I can control that, and I have different emotions around if a mistake is made, if my spouse makes a mistake, or if I get rejected, quote unquote, for intimacy, or if she's in a really bad mood someday or something. Okay, I can feel sensations, but then my emotions about them are different because my beliefs are different. And the thoughts that I put into my mind, I can control, like, oh, she's having a bad day, or I just want to be here for her, or no, I shouldn't try to fix it right now. I should just shut the fuck up. Okay. These thoughts that go in our mind, instead of like, what's wrong with her? And she didn't follow through on what she said she was going to do. And she's not giving me enough sex, like all those shitty thoughts. We start to change those thoughts through a bigger understanding of the philosophy on our own life and the philosophy on relationship. And that's what Mark Manson was saying. That's why he kept in the whole, there is no self, we're all just transient molecules in the universe. And to me, that's an existential belief around life. I'm going to die someday. Everybody I know is going to die someday. If, she doesn't buy groceries today because even though she said she was going to buy groceries, is that really worth me starting a fight over? No, like having some perspective on life. If we don't have passion in our life and something that we're shooting for, the little shit seems a lot bigger, right? If our beliefs aren't what I'm talking about here, the little stuff triggers our sensations and we don't know how to hold tension. So then I'm angry, blah, and then I'm blaming her, and my thoughts are like, it's her fault, blah, and then downward spiral we go. Okay, I'm glad that I brought that up. I think that's super pertinent today. So if you want to screenshot it, if you're watching this later on or whatever, or ask me about this, I put some links into the forum of where you can find me. All right, gentlemen, let's go and jump into, I'm going to honor your posts in the chat. And again, if you have a question, please put the word question or a Q in front of it in the chat, so it's easy for me to find, or I'm actually going to open it up to some Q&A and I can call on you guys here in a couple minutes. So let's honor the chat right now. So yeah, the staircase of courage question today. I'm going to jump back to the staircase of courage question. Let me jump back to it. Here we go. Yeah, you're a man starting to rise in this world. And I asked you, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And the gentleman, let me get back to the other camera view here. We don't need to see my big mug. There we go. So, what are you afraid of? Being alone, falling back into old habits, walking away, and where to go from there. Yeah, that one is also, should I walk away? When should I walk away? How do I know when to walk away? And I'll actually answer that one, if maybe that's not what you're asking, but guys ask that question all the time. And I, I'm not sure if what I'm about to say is from Steve Horseman. It's definitely motivated from, I've watched a video on this from Steve Horseman. And there's two questions to ask. One is, do I have more to learn in this scenario? Can I learn more at this moment, staying in relationships, staying with her, practicing these skills, trying to up level myself, even though she's not approving of me, right? Can I learn more in the scenario that I'm in still, the relationship that I'm in still? That's number one. And number two is, am I ready to let her go in love and freedom? Okay. My words, and also from the teachings, some of my other teachers as well, which I always have, and I'm doing my own work as well. I always have my own groups, and I'm always going to my peers and things. So is called the sacred masculine. So number two is, am I in the sacred masculine, which can gift love and freedom, even if that means that she's not with me? Can I gift her freedom into the world? Can I still gift her love, even if she's being, not a good person? And even if she wants to go someplace else or whatever she's done, whatever she's transgressed, can I still gift her love and gift her freedom into the world? That's the second one. So do I have more to learn here? Can I learn more by being in the relationship? And can I gift her freedom and love? Right? Am I ready to release her into freedom and love? Those are the two questions that I talk with guys about as far as when should I leave? Should I stay or should I go? Another fear, self-doubt or scarcity mentality, loneliness. Yeah, failing at this process, feeling like we're failing, right? Even though that's probably not true. That's triggered by a belief of, if I'm not perfect, generally that's if I'm not perfect, then therefore I'm a broken human, which isn't true, right? Fearful of starting over, fearful of failure, of arguments and rejection, getting life balances right. Yeah, I don't know of a perfect way to do life balances. Life balance is a flow, right? So that sounds like a little perfection too. Fear of my wife wanting out. She says she wants a divorce, but she does not follow through. Like she's hanging out in separation status. Yeah, that's a fun one. I call that purgatory, right? That perpetual free fall, it feels like. I literally started to have the nightmare that I had when I was a child, where you're falling and then you wake up right when the ground is about to hit you in the face. There was a second story staircase in my house when I was a child, and I would, the nightmare was falling over and then falling toward the ground. I started to have that nightmare again when I was in purgatory with my son's mom. So I can understand that. And why women do that is a different subject. I mean, men and women have very different motivations, especially toward the end of a relationship. She wants to have masculinity around her. She still wants to have protection, even though she may not want the relationship side of things with you. She may want you as a backup plan. She may not be doing that purposefully. That's just part of her instinct. Again, she has instincts as well, right? Different than you. Masculine and feminine instincts are very different, and she's going to have different unconscious beliefs than you do as well, from her family, cultural expectations, religious potentially expectations. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Okay, question. And Carl, if you're able to come on and ask and talk about this, would be great. You say, I'm in the, I don't feel that way about you right now as far as intimacy goes, but we get along good on a daily basis. We're roommates. I can't seem to progress forward from this. So Carl, I can relate to that. I understand what you're saying. I talk about this all the time. Do you have a question around that, or what's stuck, or what feels stuck for you around that?
Well, I feel like whenever we try to talk about stuff in our relationship, I tend to go into it with questions because I want answers. I want to know, how do I progress forward? How do I get that back? And I fall into that that desperation, and then that turns into frustration, and then be getting not necessarily angry, but aggravated. And it kind of goes there, and then it gets turned around, and it just dead ends at that point. So, and I keep going around that merry-go-round, circling the mountain on that, and can't seem to get past that.
Yeah. So let me just be clear. So you're going to her, asking her what you need to do to re-spark attraction. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily that, but try to get, okay, what's happened here. I mean, there's been things in the past. We've been together for 25 years.
Sure.
And raised 3 kids together, and we're committed as far as a marriage goes, because we are, from a religious standpoint, commitment before God. But so that's why we're both still here. And it's just like, the one thing she's, like if I ever like try to hold hands or try to do anything like that, it's like, she's like, I just don't feel that way about you right now. And it's like, I need to make up for the past, but I can't.
Okay. So first of all, let me give you a little feedback. You feel like and I just met you. It's been 60 seconds, right? But just the feeling, I talk with a lot of guys. So you feel emotionally grounded, feels like you're not blaming her. That's great. It feels like you have a philosophy, you mentioned you guys have a philosophy around relationship that you both believe in. So it sounds like we're talking about the skills of what to do is what you're asking. So what do you think is the next step? I don't know how many books you've read or how long you've been doing this work, but what's your hunch as to what you should be doing right now? What do you think?
Well, what I'm kind of doing now is kind of not pursuing the relationship, just living day-to-day life and working on myself, trying to be better in myself, physically, to get in better shape, emotionally, just to try to, don't want to be in the arguments and don't want to incite any of the anger from the past that has caused problems, trying to get away from that. So really, I'm just kind of focusing on myself right now, and then, doing what I have to here, to get along,
Okay.
and still be, loving in the
Okay.
relationship as best I can.
I mean, that sounds great.
Without the intimate part.
Yeah. So what's your question? Looks like go ahead.
Yeah. I guess the question is, I'm kind of spinning and not knowing where to go to try to better myself in that direction, to become that better man.
Okay. So what's your philosophy around how to become a better man, or what it means to be a man, regardless of her, regardless of relationship for you? And another way to say this is, what brings fire to your life? Like, yes, I'm going to go do this. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to help in this way, or go do this activity. What brings fire to you?
Well, I mean, my work does. I'm in construction, and I'm a leader in that, and I seem to do very well there, and things work great at work. It's when I come home, I don't have that leadership. I don't bring that leadership with me to the home. It's more like I guess I lack the confidence at home to be that man that I am at work. I know it's different, different aspects, but so I mean, to me, a man is a provider, a caretaker,
Okay. So let me jump in, Carl. Yeah. So I got you. So it's like, that's very common. I was that way too. And I think we're conflating who you are as a man with what I should be doing about my relationship when I'm home. So what I'm wanting to ask about is you. Let me give you an example. I give a piece of homework called, and you probably have heard this, I think a bunch of us use this, the alien abduction story, Okay. So if she were tragically beamed away, like whisked away by aliens, you saw the flying saucer poke through the clouds and the green beam came down and sucked her away. And, you knew she was never going to be coming back. Somehow you knew she'd never come back. What would you do for your own self in your life? There'd be a period of grieving, of course, right? Like, I don't need the whole, well, I'd try to chase the UFO. Like one guy told me that. I'm like, okay, the point is she's gone. What do you do with your life then? You don't just curl up after you're done curling up in a ball, like, okay, a year later, 2 years later, whatever. What would you then do that was exciting to you? I like Carl smiling. It's like, what if she was beamed away by aliens? Yeah. So would you go fishing? Like, what would you do? Get together with your buddies, travel the country. What would you do for you?
I would probably do something more like that. I would probably get out, travel more, go camping, hiking, canoeing, that kind of stuff, and enjoy life.
Hell yeah. You guys you see Carl's face? His like eyebrows are up. He's smiling big. So that's the answer, Carl. That's the answer. You got to book those things in your life now. Okay. And there's strategy, if you will, around inviting her or not inviting her. And that's a little different topic. But right now, if she doesn't even want to hold your hand, I'd probably not even be inviting her. I was just in Idaho with 8 other men a few weeks ago. So Hale was there. A bunch of us were there. It's the second year we did that. I meet guys all over the country, in Charlotte, in Boston, Kansas City. I met guys in Copenhagen, in Lund, the UK as well. We're going to be meeting in London, of course. I'm going to Spain in September. So you've made the common mistake, like I made, to think that you could just be the career man and then at home it didn't matter who you were at home, but it does. She has nothing to fall in love with if you aren't a man otherwise too. Like, provider's fine and good, yes, great, but there is no you otherwise right now. So Carl, book trips with your guy friends. Start to book at least one trip twice a year, probably even once a quarter, and once a month, get yourself out of the house, like for 1 day or 2 days, go and do shit by yourself that you find fun for your own self. Okay. Sounds like you got the other pieces in line, and that's a huge one that you're missing. So she has nothing to feel passionate for if you don't feel passionate about your own life. So that's what I would start with, Carl. Okay.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Look at this. Your face is just like, you're a totally different man when you started talking about that stuff. That's awesome. Fantastic. Thank you, Carl, for jumping in. Let's see. Chris says, so again, post questions in the chat, or I'll ask you guys to raise your hand if you want to come in. We've got about 20 more minutes today. Great point about not taking the bait, jumping into the small time issues when a man is not focused on his primary mission. Have learned that way too many arguments, whether it be in relationship or corporate organizations, are direct related to people that are majoring in the minors. Yeah, exactly. Blowing things out of proportion while ignoring the main. Yeah, exactly. If something huge was happening in your life, like you just made $1 million, or if something terribly bad was happening in your life, you wouldn't give a shit about if she bought groceries today, like she said she was going to. If you're getting upset about stuff that's really minor, you don't have a big enough mission in your life, and that's your fault. Okay. It's not her fault that you're all pissed off. I'm talking about myself, that she didn't buy groceries today. And you could tell that was a fight that I had with my ex. 3 days in a row, she said she was going to buy groceries and she didn't. We live in an absolute utopia. We've got food. It's not like we're going to go hungry. Are you kidding? She just didn't buy groceries. Okay. Is that okay? Well, that's a different topic of, is she following through on what she says she's going to do? I was way triggered by all the other horrendous shit that she violated my boundaries on, not just the groceries. So it's not really about the groceries. It's not really about the nail, right? You guys have seen that one. It's not really about the nail. Well, that's what it was like for me. I was being a woman, like, oh, you didn't buy groceries. And she's like, fuck, what the fuck is your problem? Dude. And I was making her become the man. Right. So absolutely. The X-Files went downhill. That's true, Barry. Yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. Oh, I read this one a minute ago, Chris. Question for you. Is there a way to turn around narcissistic behavior? Can you ask me a harder question? That's so easy. Chris, come on. You're going to have to give me some more details, bro. Cause labeling, I've been around labels professionally for a long time. Labeling is one thing. Playing the victim is a potential here as well. You not having boundaries, which I had shit boundaries in the past. I had to learn how to have boundaries. Okay. What often happens is that's her getting into her masculine. Okay. Which is your fault. That's usually what the problem is. It's usually not she has some kind of diagnosis. So come on, Kristen, tell me a little bit more about this narcissistic behavior. You still there? Chris is like, oh God, I don't want to come in now. I don't know. Is Chris still in here? Let's see.
Hey, yeah, you called me on the carpet, but I'm around the fam right now, so can't talk freely.
Oh,
but,
gotcha.
Thank you. Whatever you want to chime in. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with love, buddy, I'll tell a quick story since you can't talk. Okay. I later learned my ex was raised in a cult, in one of the top 5 or top 10 cults. It was the Worldwide Church of God. Very Old Testament, Mary Magdalene, no makeup. All the women wear dresses. She was in that cult until the church splintered when she was something like 12 or 13 years old. And then the church dissolved when she was something like 15 or 16 years old. I mean, it was not good, like really, really not good. And her mother, I mean, I don't say this lightly. Her mother's borderline personality. Okay. Like everything that happens in the world is because of her or to be done to her. Everyone is manipulating because of her, to get to her. Like that was what my ex's mother was like, on top of being raised in a cult. Okay. A Christian cult. I didn't know any of that. I believe in karma. Like I attracted this woman for a reason. I mean, in the short story is so I could launch into being the man I am now. So I could launch into being here in this business that I am now, melding private practice and my skills and, finding Steve Horseman and finding you guys and having the life that I do now. I mean, I'm fucking crushing it. I'm crushing it in every capacity now, right? 6 figures, travel, love what I do, support men all around the world, amazing retreats, my own curriculum, 400 YouTube video, thank you, Steve Horseman. Holy shit, was the doorway to kind of where I am now. Right. And so I could give my ex all kind of labels, but to me, it comes down to, we all inherit family karma, family trauma, every single one of us. My dad was born outside of Savannah, Georgia in 1943. He had me when he was 35 years old. He grew up in very poor Savannah, Georgia. Like it wasn't the tourist mecca that it is now. The cotton industry had died in the 1950s. So it was very poor in Savannah. And, everything that was happening in the South in the 1950s. Right. And my dad's an amazing man, and he put food on the table, and he'd lay, he'd give me the shirt off his back and all that, but he was not good with children, my father. So when we were about to go camping, he'd have like a 200-point list. And if everything wasn't checked off the list, he was kind of like annoyed and kind of an asshole, like just always frustrated if anything was to be done. So I inherited a lot of frustration. And how do you handle stuff? You kind of be a dick about it, and you wear everything on your sleeve, even if you're pissed off. And I had to learn over decades that was my family karma. So here's the fun punchline too. In therapy, after my ex cheated, we were in therapy for 6 months, and my ex talked the therapist into that I was emotionally abusive. Okay. This is while I was a special education teacher working with emotional disabilities in the school system and had a degree in that shit. Like I have multiple universities degrees, and the therapist gave her a book on being in an emotionally abusive relationship. Okay. So and being around kids with labels, like if you go to a standard therapist, they have to label you to get insurance money, right? To get insurance reimbursement. So therapists must label the client some you know, BDSM. BDSM is a different thing. The DSM, right? They must label something from the DSM. And now all of a sudden you have this label. And if you follow through on this label, it's like expectations, right? It's the Pygmalion effect. If you tell a kid and you label a child as, let's see, what was a fun one? Bipolar. Okay. The child may need medication. The child may need help, but all of a sudden, if this is, you know, Billy, the bipolar kid, and that's the expectation. And all of a sudden the teachers start to have fear of the child. It's a self-perpetuating type of situation, right? And okay, so enough of the soapbox there, but all of us have ego. All of us at some level are solipsistic. All of us as children are narcissistic and solipsistic. We have to grow out of that. So, you know, my now ex didn't have good models, to put it lightly. And we all have our family karma, and we have to grow into the adult that we become. And here's the kicker. It's our job as a man to lead relationship, lead masculinity, and know how to do these things. Otherwise, she's going to default into becoming her own man. She's going to default into her own masculine shell, because the Western world, and, you know, especially the consumer society we live in, tells us that we're not complete, that we're insecure, tells us that we're not a whole person unless we buy that product, or, you know, find the Disney love, or have the love story. So if she feels like she's not getting what she's deserved, well, it's your fault. She's going to try to go get it herself. I don't need no man. And if you don't have these skills, like I did not in the past, okay, if you don't have these skills, then we see what happens. That's why we're all here. But once you have these skills, you can stand up for yourself. You can say, for instance, I'm not okay with that behavior, whatever that behavior is. Like, I'm not okay with that. And then shutting up and letting that tension sit. So if you've not seen me put my hand over my mouth before, that's a analogy. It's a metaphor. It's probably not the right word. It's a representation of holding tension. So I'm not okay with you coming home at 3 a.m. Right? I'm saying the behavior. I'm not okay with you coming home at 3 a.m. Now, you can't control me. I'm going to go do what I want. All right. But you stated what you wanted. And if she won't abide by your boundaries, then you must do something. You must make a different choice. That was something I didn't know how to do in the past. What I did was like, hey, I saw you come home at 3 a.m. Oh, I was worried about you. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it when you come home late, and, you know, I worry about you. And really, I'm trying to, like, right? It's all this covert shit. I don't know how to stand up for myself. I'm afraid of divorce. I'm afraid of her being mad at me. And we cannot do that, right? We have to practice how to not do that. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. So we've got about 10 minutes left, 9 minutes left. Someone come in and ask a question. Okay. I'm going to do this and hold tension. And I want you to unmute yourself and ask a question, or put a scenario on the table. If you've got a question about this that I drew here, or, you know, the other tenets that I talked about today, come on in, unmute yourself. You guys just like to hear me talk, huh? I'm going to wait about 20 more seconds.
I've got a question.
Yeah, please, Steve, go for it.
I've been in separation for quite a while. My wife's been in Mexico for 8 months now. She's coming home today. I'm picking her up, and she's living in another place. So I'm trying to figure out how to communicate being separated like that.
What do you mean by communicate being separated like that?
How do I keep the lines of communication open? We have a 20-year-old son. He lives with me, and we're still married, but separated.
So is she coming home and you're living in the same house, or is she living somewhere else locally?
She's gonna stay in the fifth wheel tonight, and then I have a mother-in-law's apartment I've acquired for the summer, and then she'll be moving back down for the winter.
Okay. So that's a great question, Steve. And what I would start with, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. What I would start with is the present moment, meaning when she gets home, if you're, so my ex went to Mexico for a week and I had to take the kid. And when she came home, I was like kind of still butthurt and I punished her like, I'm grumpy because you were gone. And
Right.
that was just, immature of me. So you got to think of sort of moment to moment here for you. Like, hey, it's so one way to do it is when you see a woman, and especially one that doesn't really want to have a relationship with you, the best way to have energy with her is to open your chest, right? And keep your head up and breathe deep into your stomach and smile a little bit. Like, hi, good to see you. Now, there's actual research on when you show a woman your hands, okay, because you're the man and she's a woman and instincts and evolutionary biology and all that. You show a woman your hands, it's disarming. It's like, I'm not hiding anything. I'm not hiding a weapon behind my back. And it's representative of emotional weapon as well. Okay. So I'm like, hi, good to see you, and feels like I'm hiding or I'm hedging myself. Women are always on the lookout for manipulation. So it's like, hi, good to see you. Okay. And try to have a joyful moment there. Like, and if she doesn't say anything, I'll bet Mexico is great. So this is high regard for her. Mm-hmm. Don't fucking ask her anything about the relationship. Like,
no, I know I haven't.
Yeah. So that's what I call don't stack.
Right.
So, hi, it's good to see you is the one energy you're trying to bring to that interaction. So do not stack. Don't ask her about the plumber needs to be called, or the fifth wheel needs the table repaired, or, hey, what is our son doing, or anything like that. Because all that's stacking different emotions and different things into that window of time. So the big key is, how do I want to be in myself? She might be grumpy and tell you to go to hell or whatever, but that's her prerogative. You can only control yourself. So it's like, hey, good to see you. That's what I recommend. And then don't say, hey, later we need to talk about our son, because that's still stacking, right? Don't make an excuse, guys. This happens so often. Well, I did that, and then 4 seconds later, I just told her I just said this other thing. Well, yeah, don't do that, right? So an hour later, the next day, maybe it goes like this. There's something important to me that I really want to talk with you about. Is now a good time? Like the next day or 2 days later.
Right.
And, well, what is it? Or no, now's not good. Let's do it later. Okay. Later at 5 o'clock. Is that good? Yes. Hey, it's 5 o'clock. There's something important to me. I've been thinking about it. This is a preface. There's something important to me I've been thinking about, and I really want to run it past you. Okay. What is it? You have to start with I. I'm concerned about our son. I see this. Use the word I. Okay. Don't use the word you. So there's 3 big things here. Don't stack multiple emotions in the same time frame. Okay. When you first see a woman, it's like, hi, good to see you. Little smile on your face. If you can show your hands in some capacity, like, hey, or hi, right? This is disarming. It's instinctually disarming, right? And then later, hey, there's something I've been thinking about that's really important to me. Is now a good time? I see this. I feel this. And then shut up again. She knows what you're talking about. You don't have to say, so what are you going to do about it? It's inferred. Okay. It looks like that helped from your body language and stuff, Steve. Does that help?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I go a lot, but
okay,
I've been doing this.
Yeah. What might get in the way? It's one of my favorite questions. What might get in the way of what I just described? What do you think?
Just her distancing, standoffish, just her trying to keep that distancing and separation that she's created, trying not to get closer. She's deliberately trying to not get connected back,
Okay. And I mean, that would definitely
emotionally.
Yeah, I understand. That would definitely be another conversation that you and I could have. The key is you can't force her to connect with you.
Oh, no.
Right.
No.
So that's why I told you, I framed the way I did, because doing any more than what I said is going to feel like pressure to her. Right. And so it's little bits at a time, but otherwise, I hope that helps.
It did.
Yeah, fantastic.
That'll make it easier.
Fantastic. Thanks for jumping in, Steve.
And then just let her talk.
Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling she probably won't talk very much.
Oh yeah, she will.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So then in your mind and in your body, this is the most interesting thing in my life in this moment. When a woman talks, you want to pretend like, or really, pretend like it's the most interesting thing in the world in that moment.
Right.
Okay. Now, let me give one more tenet here. Women love to talk about themselves, and they like it when you tease them a little bit to the level of appropriate teasing for what's going on in your relationship. Okay. You can't embarrass her. So women don't want to be embarrassed. Right. But if your woman, I don't, right. So they love to talk about themselves. They don't want to be embarrassed by jokes,
right?
Teasing, but they like it if you're teasing a little bit one-on-one to the level that's appropriate for you guys.
Been married 35 years.
Does she ever laugh? Does she laugh around you still?
Oh, she's always a laughing person, smiling, laughing. She's always been a happy person.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. So then I would encourage you to end the interaction and not bring anything else up, because that's what I call practice ending in a good way. Like practice ending that segment of time in a good way.
Right.
Don't think, oh, it's going good, so I'm going to bring up the next thing. Don't do that.
Okay.
Right.
Got
awesome.
it.
Good. Steve, I love your smile, buddy. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, gentlemen, I want to leave you with a 2-minute spot from Simon Sinek. It's about brotherhood. It's about connection. It's about being here with us as men, being together as men. If you guys have questions for me, I'm out here. Get into my free private Facebook forum. I'll put the link up once again. We are going to have a local get together, a local retreat here at the end of August. So it's the 26th through the 29th, I believe, that Thursday through Sunday here in Colorado. I don't have the website done yet, but I'll put that link to my email address if you want to email me about anything. All right, guys. So here's the last 2 minutes of Simon Sinek to send us off for today. Appreciate you guys being here. Here we go.
The pressures on us are overwhelming from Wall Street or our own egos or from internal incentive structures or our bosses, whatever it is. The pressures are overwhelming for us to play the finite game. And so how do you stand up to massive external pressure? Courage. And courage is something that comes from relationships. It's external. A world-famous trapeze artist would never attempt a brand new death-defying act for the first time without a net. They would never do it. So why do we think that we could do something difficult without external support too? I've had the opportunity to meet real heroes, people who've risked their lives to save the lives of others with the belief that they were going to die, and they didn't. And when asked, why did you do it? They all say something similar, which is they would have done it for me. It's external. And so we have to take the time to foster and take care of people around us, to nurture our relationships, because when we're going to be doing something difficult, when we're going to be swimming upstream, when we're going to be innovating and doing something different, there are days we're going to doubt ourselves. There are days we're going to get knocked in our ass. There are days that storms are going to rise, and we have to have people who say, I got your back. You need to do this. We need you. The world needs this. Keep going. I believe in you,
Yeah, I got your back, gentlemen. I believe in you. Keep going. The world needs this work. The world needs you to be leaders in your own lives and in relationship and in the world. I love you guys. Have a good rest of your day. Ciao, guys. Good to see you. Bye, gentlemen.
Get more affection, love, and sex in your marriage. Get less paralyzing fear and rejection. The C Note Show. Free daily call.
This I've got to see. It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the C Note Show. Love it when you guys keep your cameras on. Cameras on, clothes on. That's our theme here. Cameras on, clothes on. Nice. I like fuck it, and then whatever happens after that is usually good, baby. Usually good. the OG from when we started the show, and he's the OG when we run the show every day. I love it. Fantastic. You're here because you want a daily renewal of belief and thought. You want to have power in your life, power in the world, and power in your relationship. Join us on the show. Go to greatmenmovemountains.com/cnote, C-N-O-T-E, to get the daily live link Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
We need an organization that is ready to mobilize dramatic survival resources at a moment's notice.